Thank you very much, Abel Mukhtar, for this report, and thank you very much, dear viewers, for staying with us. Now it's time to introduce you to our dear distinguished guest with us here in the studio, Mr. Zakareya Othman, and he's the managing editor-in-chief of Al-Ahram newspaper. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
Mr. Othman, first of all, the Egyptian efforts. I mean, there was a flurry of diplomatic activity. Look at today, the president meeting with the foreign minister conducting phone calls with the Iranian, Turkish, and the Saudi and other foreign ministers, and also receiving a call from Steve Witkoff.
Yes, actually, let me say that the Egyptian foreign policy is based completely on neutrality, objectivity, transparency, first of all, on the principle of the non-intervention in the other countries' internal affairs. And this is a very stable Egyptian foreign policy. Let me say that when we want to talk about the foreign policy, we have to know that the Egyptian president changed everything, or the diplomatic scene upside down in Egypt when he after taking office. And actually he has chosen a very successful foreign minister, Dr. Badr Abdulati. He asked him to play a very effective role where the president himself is pushing all the countries, not only the Middle East ones, but all the other countries, including the EU member states and the heads of states.
So Egypt, Mr. Othman, today was in contact, of course, with the Pakistani foreign minister as well, talked to Dr. Abdullah. So Egypt was in contact with the warring sides, the US and Iran, and Witkoff and Arakji, and also with Pakistan, the main mediator, with Turkey, with Saudi Arabia, because we know that Egypt wants to reach a deal that will also serve the interests, naturally, of the Arab Gulf countries, not just any kind of deal. We want an end to the war that respects the national security and the interests of Arab Gulf countries, right?
Exactly. Actually, this is a very important point, simply because in spite of the fact that Egypt wants to achieve stability, security, and safety for the whole Middle East region, because everybody benefits from it. Not only the Middle East countries, as I have previously said, but all the other countries as well, because when the Strait of Hormuz is closed, it means that the oil price will go up. So
108 as we speak.
So every mankind, regardless of the country that he is living in, will suffer from the oil price hike. So the Egyptian government and the Egyptian political leadership is taking these considerations into account. That's why the Egyptian leadership is following the whole situation and is closely watching everything that happens in the region. And he wants really to push the US and Iran to reach a sustainable peace agreement. But at the same time, the Egyptian president always asks the Iranian part to respect the sovereignty of all the other
Arab countries, of course, the Arab Gulf countries.
Gulf and
Gulf and non-Gulf.
Yeah, non-Arab, exactly, Gulf and non-Gulf countries, simply because the supremacy and the sovereignty is an internationally acknowledged principle. That's why the Egyptian president is trying always to focus on this point.
And you mentioned Hormuz. I mean, and His Excellency the President today met with top aide to the Russian president, and he's also responsible for maritime navigation affairs. So there must have been also talk about the situation there in Hormuz. Hormuz is strangling the global economy. And speaking of Hormuz, so what we have now is an Iranian offer to the Americans. That's the latest response. We're going to open Hormuz, you lift the blockade, we adjourn nuclear file negotiations. What do you think will be the American response? And we know that Mr. Trump is meeting with his national security team today.
Yes, actually, let me say that the two main points of difference between the Americans and the Iranians lie exactly and accurately in two things. The first one is the Strait of Hormuz, and the second one lies in the nuclear file. Actually, Iran from its point wants to overcome or to survive this point, the nuclear file, and it wants to delay discussing the nuclear file to a later time. But actually, the American side rejects completely this option because it says the nuclear file represents like almost 9% of
that's what Mr. Trump said.
The joint negotiations between both parts, and that's why I think this was the main reason behind Trump's resolution when he canceled the visit of Westcott and Kushner to Islamabad second
round two.
Yeah, exactly, round two. Simply because Trump wants a very clear promise from Iran to stop
and he said
to stop enriching uranium for at least 20 years. That's one point. The second one is he wants Iran to hand over its 6% enriched uranium to the US, or even to a third country like Russia or China, for example. But actually,
there's still speculation about that. We understand that the Americans will want to either take the uranium or a friendly country, but not to Russia or China. That's what we understand. Maybe Pakistan could be the solution. Who knows? But indeed, Mr. Othman, just confirming your point of view. Mr. Trump indeed said, "Why would I send Vance or Witkoff or Kushner for an 18-hour flight if we're not going to talk about the nuclear file? So if we're not talking nuclear, then we shouldn't talk. And if they want to talk to us, they just pick up the phone and call us anytime they wish. But there is fear and skepticism about any time they wish, because there is fear that here in the region, that the military hostilities could resume at any given moment by U.S. and Israel.
Yes, actually, to comment on your question analytically, I'd like to say that the Trump administration is moved and pushed by Israel. So Israel has certain fears of the Iranian nuclear file or program, and Israel wants Iran to freeze its nuclear activities and to hand over 900 kilograms. I think they are reached up to 60% rate.
So Israel wants to send Iran back to the Stone Age.
Exactly.
Not just freeze that.
Yeah, exactly. At least concerning the nuclear program activities. So the Trump administration is not acting independently in this.
But America does not want to send Iran back to the Stone Age, although Mr. Trump said it.
Yeah.
But they would rather have a deal. But Israel wants to see the destruction of Iran.
So what I want to say is that is as the Egyptian leadership is trying always to make balances. That's why there are many shadow and diplomatic Egyptian efforts or shuttle diplomatic efforts that Egypt does, and nobody knows about it. Simply, yes, I'd like to say that actually sometimes the Egyptian political leadership sends its intelligence chief to other countries, including Israel itself, to have consultation about some points, because Egypt wants to focus on
the success of the attempts, not the publicity.
The common divisors, instead of the points of division among between every two parts.
And it seems that, by the way, the Pakistanis are working this way as well, because it seems the Pakistanis are not making a lot of, they're not giving leaks. They're also working honestly, and it's been an honest broker, as admitted by all parties, Egypt, Pakistan, you have also Turkey.
Actually, what I want to say is Egypt is a key and a main member of the mediator quartet that includes, in addition to it, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Actually, these 4 key regional players are doing their best.
And it was Egypt, Turkey, and Qatar that brought the Gaza the situation.
Exactly. So yes, what I want to say is when we want to talk about any regional crisis, Egypt has to be a key regional player in solving it.
Naturally,
and reaching a final and sustainable resolution for it. That's why everybody knows that Egypt hosted the Sharm el-Sheikh conference in order to reach an agreement, a ceasefire, a sustainable ceasefire.
But Israel violates it every day. Of course, Egypt is the cornerstone of security and stability, and it's fate.
But actually, in return, Egypt is trying all the time to contain the whole situation and to work on solving it and to prevent its deterioration. That's
if Egypt wasn't there, things would have been much worse. I mean, everybody knows that.
Yes, actually, there are many things which I'm not authorized to talk about directly and clearly, but I have to say that the Egyptian leadership played a very effective role when the Egyptian president traveled to the Gulf region. Actually, his flat track was jeopardized at that time, but he insisted on playing his own role honestly to convey a certain message to the whole world that Egypt is only with a peace. Egypt is all against the war. He met the Gulf countries' leaders, specifically the Emirate president and the Saudi crown prince, and he told them that Egypt is completely with the Gulf countries and it is protecting their sovereignty. But at the same time, Egypt will never get involved in the war simply because the only beneficiary of such a war is Israel, not anyone else.
One final question, and we only have a minute, and the time flew by so fast. Lebanon, sir. I mean, the situation is very fragile. How do you see it? The talks. What talks? I mean, the ceasefire is being violated every single day. And now Israel is hitting Al-Biqa. And before it had hit, civilians and killed the journalists, obstructed relief efforts to reach the area. The same genocide crimes it committed in Gaza, it's copying now in Lebanon. What talks?
Yes,
what do you think will happen there?
Actually, I'm going to quote you when you said the truth of the ceasefire in Lebanon is very fragile. Really it has. And I want to say such a truce will never be standing anymore. Simply because Israel is preaching and violating such a truce around the clock.
And how likely is that file going to affect the U.S.-Iran file and vice versa?
So actually, yes, I'd like to say 2 things. The first one is the Trump administration is completely responsible for stopping the Israel violations because when the ceasefire in Lebanon reached between both sides, between Israel and Lebanon, the only guarantor was the U.S. President Donald Trump. So and he said at that time, I'm going to prevent Israel from violating or striking or targeting Lebanon anymore. But actually, right now he seems as if he knows nothing about what is happening in Lebanon. That's one point. The second is Israel has a certain plotting against Lebanon. It wants to control a certain area south of the Litani River, and it is working on achieving its goals regardless of the international community's opinion over what it is doing. So what I want...
And you know what? These expansionist policies will only bring more tension and more...
Yes, in just a minute, when we talk about talks, I think it will never work that way because before starting starting talks or negotiations between both sides, between Lebanon and Israel, we have to push, specifically the Trump administration has to push the Israel part or side to stop its daily violations against Lebanon and killing its people.
And as long as the expansionist ideology exists in Israel, there will never be peace, security, or stability in this region, ever.
Never, never.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zakareya Othman, the managing editor-chief of Al Ahram newspaper. It's been a great pleasure.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you, sir, very much, and thank you for watching us. Please stay with Nile TV.